Okay, welcome back, everyone. It's week 2, day 4. We're going to go over the afternoon lecture material, which is terminal and command prompt. This here, what I'm dragging across the screen is the terminal on Mac. I found this by going to the search, typing in terminal, and on my PC, I typed in command prompt and was able to bring that up. Some of the commands may vary depending on PC or Mac. Most of them are the same. Okay, so let's go over this. We'll go ahead and read through this. Understanding what the terminal is, how it works, and using it properly are important steps to becoming a great developer. Later on, it is your primary tool to navigate through systems, folders, and files to set up cloud servers, run tests, and to manage and update the databases for your applications. Let's stop there. Okay, what does this mean? The primary tool to navigate through your systems, folders, and files. I thought we had a pretty good system already, right? If I show you my other screen here, we have this folder system where I can open and go through folders within folders and files within folders. Okay, so what is this command prompt tool and how does it relate to what we're already doing? How does this relate to going through folders here? Well, before we had a system where computers had mouses that you can move your mouse and drag across the screen and open folders by double clicking, renaming by double clicking kind of slow, and then right clicking folders and doing all these things. All the commands related to folders and files before this system was created was all on this here command prompt. Everything was related to what you would type in the terminal. So the way you would navigate through files, the way that you navigate through folders is through the terminal. That's what its main purpose was for. And so this is like the old school way of going through a computer. This was all you needed to go through a computer. Instead of having folders where you would click and drag, create, right click, say new folder, you would know a command that would create a folder in the current space or location that you're in, and that would be all here in the terminal. Okay, let's continue with the reading. I'm going to be sharing different screens at different times for you guys to in this lecture specifically. Okay, so set up cloud servers, run tests, and to manage and update the databases on our applications. Okay, setting up cloud servers. What this means is, let's say in the future you want to you create a website or an application or something that goes online. You get a domain name. You go to GoDaddy.com and get an awesome domain name, whatever it is. Then you want to host your application to that domain name so that everyone can see. There is a step there that you will need to use some foreign computer, some foreign server, most likely an Amazon server. If you ever watch a sports game or something and you see an advertisement for AWS, Amazon Web Services, that's most likely the service you'll use to deploy your web application, because you won't be able to host it on your own computer. You'll need a foreign computer that has access, that other computers have better access to. And in order to do that, in order to set it up on another computer, that computer, you're going to have to access that computer's material through the terminal, through this thing. You have to go into that computer's files and folders and create stuff there.
Quick question, Josh. Is
Yes.
so something like AWS, is that different from a hosting site like SiteGround, or I'm like getting confused?
I'm sorry, your mic was kind of cutting out. Could you say it again?
Like the AWS example that you gave, is that a host site like SiteGround, or is that different?
It's not specific to, I think you asked, is it like an Apple website?
No, is it a hosting site
It's
like
a hosting site.
SiteGround?
Yeah, it's a hosting site.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a hosting
Okay.
site. There's many different hosting web services. We won't get into that now, but in order to set that up on a hosting website, you'll need to use the terminal. Run tests. They will get a point, especially when you're working for an enterprise level company, that you're not just building code, you're building tests to test the code that you had made. In order to run those tests, you'll need to use the terminal. There's going to be ways to manage databases for your applications. We haven't done anything with databases yet, but in order to manage databases, you'll need to use this thing, terminal. Okay, so it has lots of different uses, even though we haven't had to use it yet. Okay, it's always good to know how to use this thing. You'll only be more impressive. Some highly skilled developers go, you know, they work on all their skill, but they are still intimidated by this thing because it's old. It's an old school way of working the computer, but it's going to make you all the more impressive if you're able to work this thing and show it. You put it on your resume, or at least when you're on the job, say, hey, just, do you know how to use the terminal? Yep. Oh, okay, then, oh, great. So that it's going to look good if you're using the terminal. Okay, you don't have to use it for every instance, but if you have it in your skill set, then you're better off. Okay, so most people, when using their computers for everyday use, will not use terminal, as I was saying. Instead, users will interact with the console through a GUI, graphical user interface. That's that thing that we were using our mouse and our folders, our icons that we click. So that's the GUI. Most users will interact with their console through a GUI. So most people will use their computer through the mouse and click of folders, or that's what I've just called it, graphical user interface. Okay, so like the name implies, GUIs use graphical images and visual icons that the user can interact and visualize with all the application's files and folders in a user-friendly manner. Okay, so it's just the interface, however it is, like in sci-fi movies, they're like, the interface is like sometimes hovering in the sky, like some kind of projection. Depending on how updated your computer is probably how up to date your GUI, your GUI, or your interface looks. However, as aspiring developers, we need to get comfortable using the terminal to be comfortable working on our own local machines. When we go through deploying, our production environment will not have a GUI, so we need to know how to traverse the files using the terminal. As I said, when you're deploying, you need to use this thing. It's not going to be through mouse and click. Okay, whether you're using Mac or Windows, you have access to a terminal, Mac, or command prompt on Windows, also commonly known as shell. In either case, these tools are used to navigate local file system and run commands to execute programs, like I said. So here's how you find the terminal, and you probably want to paste it onto your, to keep it on your dock, right? Right click and keep it on the dock. As well as if you have it for PC, keep it handy somewhere on your home window page or somewhere you can easily find it. Okay, and as I can see, it'll take you, this is me on my MacBook Pro. After that percentage sign, I can type in anything I want here. Okay, so I won't type anything yet. I'll just delete. If you're having trouble finding it on Windows, you can type in CMD and you will find the command prompt that way. And it should look like this, the way I showed on my PC as well. Okay, so now let's get into how to use this. And we'll go over a quick step for Windows. If you're on Mac, you don't need to install this, but if you're on Windows, you may need to do this, okay? Which is to download this zip.
Yeah, this is the thing I was talking.
Okay. Did you get this to work for yourself?
I downloaded it, but I haven't really used it yet. I didn't really know
Okay.
how to use the terminal.
Okay, you don't have to follow along while doing this lecture. Download it and try to get it to work after I've explained everything. Okay, so let's go through what this is and how to work it before we configure it. All right, so CD, the command CD changes the directory. So changing a directory. What is a directory? Can anyone tell me?
Like a folder.
Yes, a directory is the folder. Yes, the directory is the folder. Okay, so if you want to change the folder location, then you say CD and then you change it. I'll give an example of this in just a second. So let's go over basic commands. PWD. Let's type this in as we see it here. PWD. If I press enter, I get this result before I'm able to type in again. Users and then me. What this is asking is what's the present working directory that we're on at this very moment? Working directory, what folder are we on right now? Right now, we're in the users, and specifically in my username, where that's the place that we are currently. Okay. And so this command, use this command at any time you are unsure where you're currently in your file structure. PWD stands for present working directory. For Windows, you may use PWD or CD. CD is for current directory. Okay, the next command, list files, ls. Use this ls command to see all the directories and files that are in your current directory. To clear things up, a directory is just a synonym for folder, right? We said that. In CMD, use the dir command instead. Okay, so what this means is ls, if I type in ls here, it's going to list all of the available folders from my current location. My current location, we said, was users, and then my username. At this current file location, if I type in ls, it's going to show me all the available folders that I'm able to access. Okay, so let's take a look at this here. If I go into my Finder, hold on a second here. And I go to users slash I'm searching my Mac, so give me a second here. Here, I would be able to see my applications if I said CD space applications. And I don't even have to type in the whole name. If I press tab at this point and I press enter, I have now entered that applications folder. So if I type in ls again, oh, I guess I don't have anything in the applications folder. So I'll get out of this place. I'll say cd ... I'll explain what that means in a second. Now I'm back to my original location. If I go to desktop, I go cd desktop, and I type in ls. There, you'll see 3 folders. Okay, that is going to be the same view of the 3 folders that we see here. This folder, and this folder are the same 3 folders that we see here. Desktop save January 23rd, untitled folder, and the coding dojo. Those are the same as these 3 folders. So this is the same exact view of what I'm seeing here. Okay. Let's go ahead and continue. Now we also have an ls-l that will list all the available folders that we can go into in a long form. So let's see if we can get any difference out of this here. And by the way, once if your terminal gets too hard to read, if there's too much text, what you can do is type in clear and it'll reset it. It'll clear everything. So I want to say ls, and I don't think it's going to make much of a difference, but if I type in ls-l, actually did here, it showed all my directories and a longer version of their name. Desktop, when it was created, March 23rd, at which time, by who, and who created these folders. So it shows all the folders and lists that information in a long version. Okay, that's ls-l. Representation of directories and files inside. You'll see some cryptic messages on the side. drwx. That is the drwx thing that you see are just file permissions for that particular file directory. So these are file permissions for this directory. For example, the first set of -s's that follow the D are permissions allowed for that user. If it says RWX, it means the user is allowed to read, write, and execute the file. If it just says R --, it means the user can only read the file. The second set of 3 -s's represent the permissions for a group. The last 3 s's represent permissions for people who are not user and not in a particular group that is allowed. We will have to be changing some of these permissions when we deploy our applications for the cloud. For now, it's important to know that there are different permissions that either can be read, write, or execute. Okay, so we're probably not going to memorize all this now unless you have a super great memory, but there's different permission levels for each folder. These are what it means. If at any point you forget what these mean, you can always go back to the platform, or you can do a Google search. What does RWX mean? Or what does R --, mean? Okay. These are different versions here. RW -R -R, different permission levels. You can easily Google how to access those permission levels if you're needing to do something with this. I haven't had to change any other permission levels at all thus far yet. It's more of an admin level task, but if you get to an admin level, that's what that is. Okay, you can see them by doing ls-l. Okay, ls-a. Use this ls-a command to see all the files. Linux favored operating systems hide files that start with a dot by default. This command will show all previous files and hidden files if there are any. The files that start with A are often configuration files. Okay. So let me try to give an example here. ls-a. Okay, I found an example here, so I'll show you guys. Let me clear this. Here I am in the applications. Okay, if I type in ls, it doesn't give me any results. But if I type in ls-a, I have some folders here that are hidden folders that now I'm able to see. This localized folder, dot and dot dot, in this applications section. So ls-a is to see all the files, even the ones that are hidden. Okay. Now let's give some feedback in the chat 1 through 10 on how well we're understanding where we are in the lecture so far. We're using the command terminal, we're going through different folders, we're listing them, and we're changing our location. Okay, great. So okay, I am now in my desktop. I'm going to type in ls. Those are the 3 folders that I saw. If I want to go into, for example, the untitled folder, I will have to type in cd untitled. And I can just type in this much, and it'll already know this is all that needs to be written. So I'll show you how I did that again. If I can identify something unique by this name, this one is the only one that has this spelling, UNTI. So if I type in UNTI, I know that no other folder is going to be called, at least by writing these letters so far. So if I press tab at this point, it'll complete the text for me. Okay. If I wanted to go into the Coding Dojo folder, I can type in the whole name, coding-dojo, or at, let's say, COD, I press tab. It'll already know this is the only folder with this spelling so far. So if the user presses tab, oh, I'm going to go ahead and search and give them that folder name with that match so far. Okay, so that's how I'm able to type this in so fast. So how about I do that? I'll just type in coding. I'll just press tab at this point. Okay, if I type in CD and the name of the folder that I want to go into and then press enter, I am now in that folder. As you can see here, to the left of where I type, it says the name of the folder I'm in. I can go even further. Let's see. If I type in ls to see what kind of different folders I have within this Coding Dojo folder, I get this list. If I want to go to, for example, profile practice, this folder here called profile practice, I will type in cd profile-pra tab. And now I'm in the profile practice folder, as you can see here. Okay, now let's read the next part. Changing to a parent directory. So if I want to go now to the parent directory, I have to type in cd ... That will make me go up one level, one folder level. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that now. I want to go back to my desktop. So I'll type in cd ... That takes me back to the Coding Dojo folder. If I do it again, ... back at my desktop. So I needed to do it twice because I was 2 folder levels deep. And if I want to see, I'm going to go further up. If I type in ls, well, I have these folders available at this level, at the desktop level. If I want to go up again, do cd ... Now I'm in my computer where I have applications, downloads, library, music. You get the picture. My desktop is one of those options. Okay, so I'll go back to my desktop, cd desktop, press enter. Now I'm back at my desktop. Okay, changing to the root directory. cd/. This command will change the root directory of your computer. From this folder, you can access your application folders. So let's see what that means. cd/. So if I go, let's say if I do cd/ from the users, cd user, cd me, cd the desktop. Okay. If I now I'm back in my desktop. You can see that here, right? I'm back at my desktop with these 3 folders. If I wanted to go to the root directory, which is, you know, where everything is coming from, if I do cd/ and I type in ls here, I'm back here at the very beginning where I see applications, users, library, volumes, all this stuff related to the root directory, the system itself. Okay, I want to go back to users, back to my desktop. I cd users, ls, cd me, cd desktop, ls, to see that all my folders are there. I'm in the right desktop. Yes, that's the right desktop that has those folders. Okay, at this point I want to clear because it's getting too jumbled. So I cleared it. Okay, changing to a specific folder name. We know that if we type in cd and the name of the folder, so I have here Coding Dojo, untitled folder, and this desktop save. So if I say cd coding-dojo, we know that that's going to go into there. But what if I wanted to go into this folder from my root directory? Or what if I just type in cd dot. I'm at my desktop level now. cd dot. I'm back at this level. What if I type in cd desktop and see how there's a slash there? Instead of pressing enter at this point, I will say Coding Dojo. Now I'm saying cd desktop / Coding Dojo. What this would do is by the order that I'm submitting in, I have to know the correct order here. But if I say, I want you to go into the desktop and also into this folder called Coding Dojo in the desktop, by that specific location, it will find it. And I can go however many layers deep I need to go. So I can be at the very root folder as long as I choose my username, then my desktop, and then the folder on the desktop that I want to enter. I can go that deep if I'm specific with it. Okay, now we want to use the terminal not just to access and navigate through folders, but to create folders as well. Okay, so I'm going to create a folder now in my desktop. And I'm thinking of a name. So I'm in my desktop now. And I want to create a folder called lecture. Okay. Now, if I type in ls after saying mkdir, so make directory lecture, if I type in ls now, there's my folder. And if I share with you my desktop view, there's the folder I created with the command, this one here. Okay, so let's see it in action again. Okay. So we'll clear this out. And at the desktop level, I'm going to say mkdir. I'm going to make an elephant folder. Why elephant? I just wanted to call it something. But as soon as I pressed that command, you saw this pop up, right? So mkdir, and then the name of the folder will create we'll create a folder. So I'll make a folder called Penguin. As soon as I type in the command, there it is. And I can also see it here. If I type in ls, I have Coding Dojo, I have the elephant, the lecture, and the penguin, and then the untitled folder. So I'm seeing here exactly as I'm seeing it here. And that's all it is. This is a way to access all the folders that you would see on your normal GUI, your interface. Okay, so let me share my screen again. Now I want to remove or delete a folder. So let me share my screen with you again, my other screen. Okay, at this point, I want to remove my penguin folder. Okay, here it is. I'm going to say rm penguin. Oh, did I not spell it right? Hold on. No, on a Mac, you have to say rmdir. And as soon as I type rmdir and then the name of the folder, it will delete it. I can also do this for, let's say, the untitled folders. Okay, rmdir, untitled folder, enter, it's gone. Okay, let's put something in this elephant folder. Let's put something in here. Let's put this lecture folder inside the elephant folder. So now the elephant folder has this lecture folder, right? Everyone can see that. So now I'm going to go ahead and try and delete this elephant folder with something inside of it. rmdir elephant. And it gives me this error here. Directory not empty. Directory is not empty. So what I have to do is add this here, rm-rf. If you try to delete a folder with contents inside, you'll get an error. Our computer wants us to say more explicitly to delete this directory and everything inside by passing the -rf option. Okay, be careful with this command as it could accidentally delete files you didn't intend to delete, or delete something, some config files that you wouldn't want deleted at all. In the CMD, the command name is del, but the results are the same. So this will delete a folder with content inside of it. So let's go ahead and delete our elephant folder now by saying rm-rf, and then we'll say elephant. Now it's deleted. As you see, it's completely gone. I only have 2 folders left. So be careful with using -rf because it will force it to be deleted, even though it was it wasn't an empty folder. Okay, so let's give some feedback on the commands that we're learning so far. cd, mkdir, and rmdir and rm-rf. How well are we understanding everything that I'm introducing so far? So far, so good? Cool. And this comes with practice as well. Like everything, you have to just type in the commands yourself. Okay, I remember my first time being confronted with this. I thought, oh, I'm not computer enough to deal with this thing. Really, it's the same thing we've always been dealing with. It's just folders here and the way to access these folders by command lines. Okay. So here we are, rm-rf, how to delete a folder with stuff in it. Now we're going to start creating files. We're going to start creating files. So let's create our folder. So the command to create folder is mkdir. And I'm going to create an example folder. So let me go ahead and show you that in just a second. But what I want to do is create a new file. The touch command will create a new empty file in the name of the extension type that you specify. You can make any type of file you provide in the extension type, run the above commands, and then run ls to see what we're working with. Okay, so let's go ahead and share my screen again. All right. So here's my example folder. As you can see, it is already empty. What I want to do here is enter in the example folder. So I'll say ls example. Okay, I should go there. So cd example. If I type in ls here, it should be empty, right? No results because it's completely empty. Now let's go ahead and create some files. So I'll say touch index.html, touch style.css. Now if I type in ls, there's my two files I've created. Just by using touch index.html, touch style.css, it created those file types for me by typing in that command, touch and then the file name. Okay, if I want to remove that file now, I'll have to type in rm index.html. Now, if I type in ls, only style.css is left. So you can see here, only style.css is left. But I can add it back. And the simple way to add it back, well, I can type in the command again. But if you go here where you were typing and you press the up arrow, it'll save the last command that you would have entered. Here's remove index.html. Remember we did that. Here's the ls again. And here's touch style.css. And if I press up again, there's touch index.html. I can have all the commands that I did today saved. If I keep pressing up, you'll see them all. Okay, I'm going to just go to the one that's relevant. Keep pressing down, 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 and go to touch index.html. So with the up and down arrow keys, you can see a list of the commands that you have already entered, and it saves a history of those commands that you've entered, so you can easily access that again. So touch index.html. Okay, now I can add this back into my example. And it's there again. Index.html is back in my folder. Okay. Now, we can also rename a file using the command, right? The way that we would normally rename something is by right-clicking it and clicking the rename. But here we can do it using these commands, mv, and then you target the file. In this case, it's assuming there's an index.html file. And then after you target that file name, then you input the new name. So let's go ahead and do an example of that. Okay, so I have my folder here. I have my index.html. I'm going to say mv index.html. And what do I want to change the name to? New name name index.html. So this here, new name index.html, that's what my file should be changed to. So if we press enter, we should see that change instantly. And there it is, new name index.html. So we just renamed our file by saying mv and then the name of the file and then giving the new file name afterward. Okay. So how well do we understand how to do this? Give me some feedback on renaming and creating files, as well as deleting files. Okay, we can also copy a file. So let's read on how we can do this. Copying a file. The cp command will copy a file into the current directory with the new name you provided. In the example where you say that you were in your desktop directory and you ran the above command, the desktop directory would now have index.html and copy.html in it. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this now. Copying a file. So I have to say cp of the file, and then the name, we have to give it another name so that it's not confused. So let's share my correct screen here. Okay, so I have new name index.html. I'm going to want to copy that. Before I do that, let's just rename it. So I'm going to say mv new name index.html, change it back to this index.html. There we have it, back to index.html, so we know we've changed it. And so let's clear this so I can think clearly. Okay, here we are. Now, I'm going to copy my index.html. So I'm going to say cp index.html. And I'm going to copy it to the name copy.html. And now I have this file is now copied to this one, but it has a different name. Okay. What if I want to copy a directory as well? So let's try and copy this example directory, this example folder, to something that is named something similar. So okay, so I'll say cd ... I'm back in the desktop. That's how I know I'm in the desktop. It says desktop there. And I'm going to say cp -rf example. And I'm going to copy it to be called example copy. So it's just going to be called example copy. And now we see here our folder called example copy. If we open this up, we have all the same folder, all the same files as we had in our example folder. We have copy.html, index.html, but it's in this example copy, which is different than example. These are two different folders. Okay, let's give some feedback on how well we're understanding this as well. Okay. Anything else I need to introduce? Let me share my screen here. I say that a lot, don't I? Opening current directory in your GUI. Open dot. The open command will open your current directory in your GUI. Likewise, you could open a file instead of your directory by running something like open file name. This command will only work on your local machine, but not a virtual machine. Okay, so let me go ahead and switch screens again. I'm going to go to cd example. And if I say open index.html, when I type that on my other screen here, it just opened this. Okay, there's nothing in this index.html to show, right? Because I didn't create a boilerplate. I didn't put any tags in there. But when I typed in open in the name of that file, it went ahead and opened this in a browser. Okay, so that's what that does. Depending on what kind of file it is how it will react when you type in that open command. So open, and then the name of the file will run that file, will open that file. Okay, lastly, some things here I want to share, but that I cannot put into application yet. Something you'll just see later on. When you are navigating terminal on your virtual machine, which means a virtual machine is like a foreign computer. This is the one hosting your website. When you're navigating the terminal on your virtual machine in the cloud, so whatever computer you have access to through your local computer, when you're navigating through it, you may encounter these commands throwing back an error. So you may get some errors. When that happens, prefix your command with sudo. Just add sudo to the front of it and it will work. So it means that you are a super user. Super user do this, super user do that. Okay, a super user is like when you're a user from your local machine on another computer. Okay, this will become more relevant when we start deploying applications in the cloud, but just know that something like sudo exists. It's when you're working on another computer from your computer on the command prompt. In order to make these basic commands work, you're going to have to type in sudo in front of it. Okay, that's all that we need to know for that. So let's take a short quiz. I know I saw an answer there, but just erase it from your memory here. Okay, which command will print out the current working directory? Which command will print out the current working directory? Do you guys see my screen? Yeah, you do. Okay. Which one here? cd my project, cd ... pwd, or ls-l? Okay, pwd, right? That because that stands for present working directory. Which command will list in a long form all the files and folders in our current directory? List in long form. ls is for list, -l is for long form. Which command will change directory into a folder called my project? Which command will change directory into folder called my project? So how do I switch to the folder called my project? Which one is it going to be? All right, cd my project, that's correct. Cd says change directory or current directory. I want it to be my project. Which command will change the directory to leave the current directory? To leave the current directory. How do I leave the current area? cd ... And where does that take you to? Where does ... take you to? Parent, yes, the parent directory takes you to the parent. cd ... will make you go up one folder level. Lastly, which command will show all the files in the current directory, including the hidden files? Which one's going to show including the hidden files? 3, ls-a. Show me everything in a list. Show me -a. All. That means all the files, including the hidden ones. I want to see that. Okay. And so we got a perfect score. Nicely done. Lastly, if you want to play with the terminal command, do what I did. Okay. First, do what I did. Go to this basic commands tab and use every command that you see in here on your own terminal, on your own device. Create some folders, create some files in those folders, rename them, copy them, escape there, get lost in your terminal. If you get lost a couple times in your terminal, you'll be forced to find your way around. You'll be forced to get back to your desktop somehow on your terminal. A desktop seems to be our most comfortable place when we're on our computer, because when we open our computer, that's what we see first, right in front of us, our folders of our desktop. So find your way to the desktop and then get out of the desktop. Go in some other part of your computer just through the terminal. Okay, create some files, remove some files, delete some folders with content in it, not some important folders, that would be bad, but create some folders with files in it just to be deleted through the terminal. Once you do all that stuff, okay, then there's this game that you can play, which is, it looks like a fun game. So this is it. So we're just using the terminal commands to play this game. So it says to look around your surroundings with the command ls, right? What does ls do again? It shows us what's in our current folder. So this game is treating everything here like it was in a file or folder. So if we type in ls here, press enter, it'll show us an image. And it'll show us different areas that we can go. Like these areas are different folders that we can enter into. There's the Western Forest, the North Meadow, and then it says here, MIT items, and then a welcome letter. Okay, so where do you want to go? Do you want to go to the Western Forest or the Northern Meadow? Someone tell me.
The forest.
All right, we'll go to the forest. So how do we go to a location? Like we would a folder, we have to type in CD, current directory, and then the name of that location. So we'll say CD Western Forest. Press enter. You have moved to the Western Forest. You enter and travel deep into the forest. Eventually, your path leads to a clearing with a large, impressive building. A sign on it reads Spellcasting Academy, the Elite School of Magic. So let's type in LS to see what's available at this level. And here's an image to correspond with whatever we're doing. So here's that magic school, whatever I was talking about. Here's the forest, here are the trees. So here's what we have here at this location. A Spellcasting Academy, and we have some items, a sign and a back sign. Okay, if I wanted to go into the Spellcasting Academy, I would type in CD Spellcasting Academy. You have moved to the Spellcasting Academy. The halls are filled with hustle and bustle of Academy students scurrying to and from classes. Inside of the Academy, as impressive as it is, the outside with the high ceiling and Gothic arches, it seems even larger on the inside. Okay, so let's see. Type in LS here. So here's the castle. And there's different places we can go into here. We can go into the practice room. I think we can go into the lessons room. So you play this game on your own, have some fun with it. It's basically just using command lines, LS and CD. You get comfortable with it, playing this game as you would on your local machine. It's a little bit entertaining as well. Okay, does anyone have any questions for me at this point? Anyone have any questions that I can help answer? You
Is
all,
there a reason why you say we should use Bash instead of PowerShell or whatever else?
Bash, oh, yes, that reminds me. What time is it? It's already 4:02. Okay, let me share my screen. Yes, that's a good segue. That's a great question. Okay, so 10 more minutes for this lecture. So I said I would talk about how Git relates to the terminal. All right, so the way Git relates to the terminal is this way. Before we had the way to push to Git using this source control, right? We create a new folder, we create the files in that folder, and then we'd use this thing to initialize repository, put a commit message in there, and do that, okay? If you download Bash, most likely you have to download it if you're on a PC. The reason you want to download it, was it Bash or is it, let's see here. Yeah, Git Bash. The reason you want to do that is because there is a way to push to GitHub using just the terminal. And that's how it was initially. Before Visual Studio Code had that nice, cool shortcut, it was a lot more of a hassle to get your files online through the terminal. So I'll try to do an example here. I'm going to go to your repositories on GitHub. Here's ours. I'm going to say new, create a new repository. I'm going to call this repository name example. Okay. I'm just going to call this one example. I'm going to create the repository. Now here is where you would take those commands. These are terminal commands that you would put into your terminal to create that connection between your folder that has your files and the folder or to this online location, right? So once you would have pushed your files successfully, this page here will have will look different and we'll have some code that we can show. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to switch my screens. Go to the screen here.
Hey Josh, is this similar to what, because with the Mac, I was prompted to also download something and I downloaded Xcode. I think it's called Xcode or something like that. Is that similar to
You downloaded
Bash?
what? What was it called?
Xcode, I think it was?
No, Xcode is something completely different. You don't need Xcode at all. No.
Okay, it told me I couldn't use Git unless I downloaded something. And it
Okay.
gave me, yeah. So I thought
Well,
it was the same thing, but if it's not, then I'll talk to you about it.
yeah, it's not. We'll fix what that is later. Xcode is something else. Okay, so I'll go ahead and take. I'm gonna push example. So I'm gonna use this example folder to push to this repository. So I'm in example. Okay. All right. So I'm in example. So I want to take these command lines. These here. And run them in my terminal. So I'm going to take this first one, git init. This would be the same as initialize repository. So git init. And we did it successfully because it says here, initialize empty git repository in this folder, desktop example. So we've initialized it. So that's the first step. We've done that. We can skip this. This is just adding a README file. These are usually essential, but for now we're going to skip this step. And the next step we're going to go to is this one here. We're going to skip down the line a little bit. and we're going to go straight to this one. Git remote add origin, and then this location, github.com/me/example.git. Okay, that's the file, that's the location. That's our destination that we're pushing our folders to. So we have to paste that in there. Okay, didn't give me any errors, so we're successful. The next line we are going to want to add is this line here, git add all. Git add dot means add all the folders at this, all the files and folders at this present folder location to the repository. So we're gathering everything up to be pushed. So we'll say git add all. It's not in here, but I'm telling you to add it. And then we say git commit -m first commit. So this is where we would type in that commit message in Visual Studio. So I'll type in there. Okay. It says now here which files have been added here in the commit. 3 files changed, 0 insertions, 0 deletions. So we added 3 files here. And now the last one should be git push -u origin main. And if we do this successfully, we should see the changes that we're looking for. Failed to push some refs. Okay, so I did something out of order here. I think what I did wrong is I had to copy this line here, git branch m main, that one I did skip. If I say paste this line in here, and then I do git push origin main, I think that should work just fine. Okay, now it's successful. So I just skipped one step. So I can do it again if we really want to know, but now if I refresh my page, there are my files, copy HTML, index.html, style.css. So all I did here was push to GitHub. Instead of using the inbuilt Visual Studio Code methods, I used my terminal command. And when you create a new repository, it kind of gives you the steps out of order, but the order there is, see if I can go back. So this is the step where you create a new repository. Let me try and do this again. Let's say example copy. Okay, I'm creating a new repository called example copy. Okay, here are the steps that I need. And here I'm going to get out of this folder. I'm in my desktop, and I also have the copy that I made during the lecture. So I'll say cd example _ copy. If I type in ls, here I am in my copy folder. Let me clear and just see it again. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and push this folder now to my repo that I've called example copy. So the first step, step 1, say git init. This initializes the process. We did it because it says initialized here. Then we'll add the location that we're pushing to. See, this one's different. It says example _ copy. So this is different than our first location that we created. Paste this in here. Enter. Then we say git add all. then we say git commit dash m first commit. That's usually a good message for your first commit. Enter. Then this one here, git branch dash m main. This is creating a branch in our GitHub. It's called the main branch, and this is what we're pushing it to. Okay, later on, you're going to want to do your own research on how Git works and how to collaborate using Git, but the project owner will merge branches. So things will offshoot from the main branch, and you'll want to merge them as the project manager. Okay, so then the last step is to git push -u origin main. This is the place we've just created. So we'll go ahead and I've skipped a step. Must have skipped a step here. I said commit, I said branch. Let me just, maybe I just didn't copy it correctly. Let me try it again. No, I skipped. I must have missed something vital. Anyone notice anything? Maybe I have to add this again.
Yeah, I don't think you did get remote add.
I did that as a second step. I'm pretty sure I did that. It'll be on the recording if I did. I'll figure it out. See, remote origin already exists, so I already did this step. And this is it can be tricky either way, whether you're working on Visual Studio Code or whether you're working on terminal. Yes, I made some sort of error along the way, and I don't know exactly which step it was. I try to make do this twice to make it more clarifying, but I actually muddled it up. So what I'll say is terminal can be used to push to Git, but for now, we are not going to waste too much time trying to learn this. Just use the Visual Studio way. It's super easy. In order to fix this, I will probably have to go through each step again and see at which point it will give me an error. I'm pretty sure I did this. I'm sure I did this. I'm sure I did this and this. So I'm not sure why this last step won't work, but I won't spend too much. I won't spend any more time here during the lecture trying to figure it out. But you saw me work it the first time. The first time we are able to push successfully to here. And let's say I made some changes that I would need to, let's say in index.html, I added an h1 or something in there. If I wanted to push those changes, I would have to say git add all, then the commit message, and then the push. So if I want to show an example of that, let's go into our index.html that we've created there. This will be the last thing I do. So I'll go ahead and open Visual Studio Code. Open folder, desktop, example. I want to change this index.html. I'll just add this boilerplate. Okay, so I've added all this code now. Okay, I've added all this code. So now I want to go ahead and push that difference. So if I say clear cd ... ls cd example ls, here are my files. So I'll say git add all, git commit dash m. Then I'll say a message here that relates to what I changed. I'll say changed index.html, added boilerplate code. Okay, so that's my message. And I'll say now git push. After I say the commit, I'll say git push. Okay, now that I finished that, it's gone ahead and pushed it. So if I check here online, this index.html should be updated now. So if I refresh, there is the boilerplate there. So a lot less commands to push it with the terminal once you get it working, but getting it started can be a little bit of a hassle, as you saw. Okay, so that's why you want to download Bash on your PC, so you can do this stuff on the terminal instead of using the buttons. But generally, it's not advised to go through the hard way when you have such a simple way already. But if you ever on the job in the future need to work terminal to push to Git, then you know how to get it working. Okay. So it's there in case you need it. The more practice, the better. You'll look like a super pro if you can do everything through the terminal. Some people can even code through here. They just like to show off. Okay, all right, that will go ahead and end the lecture. Does anyone else have any questions before I close this out? Kaya?
Yeah, before we finish, I just wanted to say a formal congratulations to everybody for passing the exam. Not only passing the exam, but passing the exam the first try, the first time you took it. This is probably the first class that I've ever experienced that happening. Usually some people need to retake or retake the stack. So again, I just wanted to formally congratulate everybody on that. So good job to you guys.
That's a credit to you guys as instructors, for real.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Yeah, thank you guys for passing. It makes us look good as instructors. So it's good all around. So we have tomorrow and the next week together. So let's make the best use of the time that we have together. Tomorrow morning, Kyle will do our bootstrap lecture, as I mentioned, and then in the afternoon, I'll do the media query. If you guys want to have some activities to do, there's the optional assignments that I mentioned. There's the game, the MIT Terminus. I would suggest, because next week we're going to be going over what to create as projects, and I guess I'll already I'll plant the seed in your guys' mind. You guys will either be creating projects related to your hobby, projects related to a profile page that you would have created for yourself, like a business profile page, a portfolio website, and on that portfolio you can host different projects that you've created. For example, if you create this calculator, you can host on your portfolio this calculator that you would have created, or a ticking clock, or you could also create this Pac-Man game and host those projects on your portfolio website. Okay. Or you can create something entirely different. Let's say you love a certain you want to make a website that's a blog that would be blogging about different music groups and bands that you like, that you want to post about. Or maybe you want to make a website about selling certain breed of dogs or something. Or you want to make a business website for a friend. So you make that site we'll be making that next week. So whatever now you want to create with HTML and CSS, you guys should be thinking about what it would look like, your website would look like, what kind of project it would be. So on Monday, we can hit the ground running. Okay.
And then
So
Malo, what was your question?
Oh, I was gonna ask, like since I missed majority of today, how like I don't mean to rush you, but like how soon are you gonna be able to like post today's lecture so I can like just hop on it and just go off with it?
I'll post it right now. As soon as I'm done with this, I'll stop and I'll go ahead and upload those.
Okay, cool. Sorry to ask. I was just like I just hated how I had to take the exam today and missed out a whole lecture or two
Cool.
doing that. So yeah, I appreciate you, sir. Thank you.
No problem. Alrighty. Any other questions, anybody? All right, I'll go ahead and stop the recording and do that now.